Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new on my channel, my name is Stella. I'm an education, lifestyle and mom YouTuber based in the United States. I am an international student in the United States of America. On this channel, we talk about how to get admission to study abroad based on my experience. I did my master's degree in India on a fully funded scholarship, and I'm currently doing my PhD in the United States on a fully funded scholarship. So based on my small experience, I try to share what I know on here. Once in a while, I talk about other stuff outside of education, like what's going on in my life and then motherhood, because I'm a mom of two. So in today's video and sequel, which is also sequel to the previous video based on the study abroad series that I'm currently doing, we will be talking about the requirements for you to be able to, like the requirements most universities usually put out there that you must meet up to be able to like submit application for you to study in a university abroad. If you're interested in this video, and I'm sure that you are, just keep watching and don't touch that stop button. Is that okay? And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, take this time out to click the subscribe button and you'll be happy that you did, and it's totally free of charge. So in today's video, like I've already said, we'll be talking about the requirements that most universities usually put out there that you must meet up with for you to be able to secure admission abroad. And these requirements are usually like the minimum requirements. What that means is that you must meet up with this to be able to be eligible to join the competition, because yes, it's a competition, but that's not it's not a guarantee that once you have all of this you must gain admission. You can actually have all of this and still not get the admission, because it's a competition and the slots may not necessarily be so much to accommodate everyone. But it's important to have all of this and then have a little bit more. So the first thing on my list is, like I mentioned in my previous video, I'm going to link all the videos we've done on this series in the description box. So if you haven't watched that, you will need to, so that you can, it's like a build up. So the first thing you need to look at is the deadline. So the deadline is very important. Like I've said in the previous video, it's important because you cannot afford to gather all your requirements and then send in your application and realize that the deadline has passed. So the first thing you should look out for is the deadline. Then fully the requirements. Look at the academic requirements. If you're going for a master's degree or a PhD, for example, in the United States, most of the time for PhD, most schools do not require a master's degree. Whatever it is anyways, just check out for the requirements, the academic requirements. What I mean by that is, what do they require, a bachelor's degree or they require a master's degree, and see if you have that. And if they require a bachelor's degree, what exactly do they need as evidence of that degree? Is it a transcript, which most of the times, yes, transcript and your certificate. So the transcript and the certificate. If you don't have that, then you need to begin to process that. You see, that's why it's important to start preparing early on, so that you'll be able to gather your requirements on time and send in your application. So if both master's degree and bachelor's degree certificates and transcripts are required, then you need to make sure that you have both. Then also, for some persons who may have studied in countries where the language of instruction is not English, some universities, especially in Europe and in America, will require you to get a translation. Yeah, you need to get a translation of that transcript. So this applies to those whose certificates or transcripts are not written in English language. Then the next requirement that I have here is standardized test. You need to check out to see if the school requires you to write TOEFL, that's English proficiency test, maybe TOEFL, IELTS, as the case may be, or they require you to write GRE. Some persons have contacted me to say that, okay, I want to go study abroad and I want to sit for English test. I always tell them, you need to check if it's a requirement before you begin to sit for these tests. These tests are ridiculously expensive, so it's important for you to be sure that it's a requirement before you begin to sit for them. And honestly, you wouldn't want to waste all that money and realize that you don't even need it. In the past, these things are like constant for those coming to school in the US, GRE and English proficiency test. But since post-COVID-19, there are a lot of schools have exempted, have like stopped taking GRE, while some schools still do. So it depends on the program you're going for. That's why it's important for you to check if it's a requirement. For me, GRE was never a requirement, but my school required that I get an English proficiency test, which I had. So yeah, why not? You need to just check and see. But I also usually advise that if you know you want to go study abroad, maybe you should just consider sitting for an English test, at least sit for the English test. But then it's an advice that I'm always very, very careful not to give or not to give, because sometimes you realize that you don't even need it. So why don't you just check and do your research and see if it's something that you really need before you sit for them. Then check out for the kind of essays that are required. Almost all universities require you to write a statement of purpose. It's like an essay talking about what you have done in the past, who you are, what you have done in the past, what you're probably doing, and what you intend to do, what you intend to achieve with that degree, how you got to know about the university, and why you chose the university. So some schools, or if not all schools and programs, require that you write that essay. So you need to check out to see what is required. Then there are also other essays that may be required of you depending on what the program you're going in for. Some programs require you to write some other kind of essays. So you need to check that out, see the kind of essays that are required, and start writing them early on, and give them out to people who can help you review them, put in their own suggestions and all feedbacks, and then you get a very good essay and put out there. Then another requirement I have here is supervisors. Some universities require you to get a supervisor before you can send in your application. You need to check that out. Not all departments require that. For me, my university didn't require me to get a supervisor before coming in, but I had other schools that required that, which of course I contacted supervisors and all of that. But the school I am in currently did not require me to get a supervisor, and that's peculiar to my department, chemistry. Some other departments in my university requires that you get a supervisor before you send in your application. So you need to check that, and this is also why you need to start your process on time, so that you have enough time to get a supervisor and then eventually send in your application within the deadline. Then you need to also check out how many recommendations are required. Recommendation letters are required. So for me, I think it was 3. Yes, it was 3, not I think. It was 3 recommendation letters. So I already have my 3 recommenders. I'm going to do a video about recommendations. This is very important. The kind of letters that my recommenders write is mind-blowing. Actually, when I read these letters, I'm so proud of them, because they know me so well that they describe me even in ways that I myself have not been able to describe myself. Sometimes I borrow their words to be able to come up with something in my personal statement. And so I will do a video about that, how to select a recommender, and a referee, or how to get somebody to recommend it, I don't know, yeah, whatever you call it, how to get somebody to write a recommendation letter for you. Yeah, it's also important. You need to know how many is required so that you don't get below the required number. And also, it's important to do this on time. That's why it's important to do this whole process on time, because most of the times it is only after you have submitted your application that the link for the recommenders to write their recommendation letters is sent out. So imagine if you submit your application on the day, on the deadline, on the D-Day, gone, and probably recommendation letters must come in after a week. What if your recommenders are very busy people and they don't get to send you letters? Like, there have been many cases of people who lost out opportunities because their recommenders didn't deliver on time. So you wouldn't want to be in that kind of very terrible situation where you're qualified for something but you didn't get it just because your recommender didn't send out the letter. Then another thing which is not always there is publications and awards. These are not usually minimum requirement. This is not usually minimum requirement, but like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, sometimes minimum requirements only means this is what you need to be able to qualify to apply and get into the competition. But if you have more, bring it on, so that it gives you an edge. So imagine you have publications and you're going for a PhD, 1 or 2 publications, it gives you an edge. So think about that, check out and ask questions. Then imagine you have awards you have won while in school. There might not be any space for you to put in these awards, but while writing your statement of purpose or personal statement, you can talk about these things. They give you kind of an edge over other applicants. I've never been on admission board before for study abroad, so I may not necessarily know how they run these things, but I believe that somehow having certain things gives you an edge over others. For example, if I have somebody with a first class and somebody with 2-1, both of them have 10 publications, for example, and I have just 1 slot. Honestly, if both of them have same number of publications, same impact factor and everything, there is a higher chances to pick the person who has a higher CGPA, just because you have to choose one person. So that's just what I mean. I'm not saying that first class people must always get admission. I mean, there are many people with first class that haven't been able to secure admission. So that's not even what I'm saying. You should understand what I'm talking about. So if you have any other thing that you feel can give you an edge, you should definitely find a way to fix it into your application. But I think I have exhausted my list. These are like the basic requirements that most universities and departments usually ask for. Start the process on time so that you have enough time to get your application put together before you submit. I hope this video has been very helpful. If you like this video, definitely give my video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for the for all the engagement you guys have been given this series. I look forward to more engagement. Share my videos, ask your questions in the comment section, and please, if you haven't subscribed, I don't think we're quarreling, please click that subscribe button. And if you want to get notified whenever a new video pops up on my channel, you can click the bell which is right next to the subscribe button, and so whenever I upload a new video, you get notified. Till I come your way next time, I remain your girl Stella. Please stay safe. Bye.